0 out of 10, least favorite of the season, free. Sorry Boba Fett, you held the title for long enough, now John Yacha is free from your incompetence. Gonna take a while for the joke to hit on that one. So this episode is out, and I think it's important to preface, because it's gonna add a lot of context to everything I'm about to say here. I'm not a fan of SpongeBob SquarePants. Now, I'm not someone who dislikes it. I don't want to... the immediate assumption when someone says they're not a fan is that they dislike it. No. I've just never seen a single episode of it. And I have no interest in it. And in that regard, unlike most people in the community, I'm not going in with any sort of attachment to this matchup. In fact, on the contrary, I love Aquaman, but that love can only extend so far to this version, who's basically a complete joke, in that he's the reason everyone treats one of my favorite DC heroes like a joke. I blame him for everything. Anyway, you're not going to be getting the commonplace, I guess, perspective in this review, that being the perspective of someone with a strong inclination one way or another towards a SpongeBob episode. You're just going to get a completely neutral stance view of the episode, for better or for worse. The analysis starts, and I knew exactly where this was going the moment it The moment it began. Wiz would underestimate SpongeBob, but then learn he's OP, and then the opposite would happen for Aquaman. Lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. And for what it's worth, I don't dislike it. I think it's fine, it's enjoyable enough. I appreciate the passive-aggressive tone of this quarter box. I don't know how I feel about this one, given it's the context of a sponge fucking a squirrel, but SpongeBob's analysis is fine. Aquaman's is also fine. I found amusing enough, though at the same time part of me wants to point out that, and this is not related to the episode itself strictly, this is like outside stuff, but if Aquaman was 1,000th as strong as his version of Superman, he'd still be more powerful than most versions of Aquaman. Like, he'd be stronger than the other Aquaman from animated series, the live action ones. Like, this Aquaman is far from one of the weakest versions if you actually scale him to anything. So personally, I would not have minded if Wiz had continued to try to push for Aquaman to be stronger and got him somewhere, because it would have just been less predictable for me, and that predictability of the analysis made me sort of less interested. The first few seconds I could read it and I just didn't care. It's not that it's bad, don't think it's bad, okay? It's just kind of expected. I guess in general, as a fan of Aquaman, and knowing that Super Friends Aquaman is one of the strongest versions of Aquaman outside of the comics, it was just kind of a weird analysis to get through. It didn't feel disingenuous, because it's very possible you could just not scale him to Superman. I mean, that's fine, but I appreciate for character how Wiz has a clear bias towards Cape Ship, but his character arc with SpongeBob's analysis didn't have any interest to me. And in general, I just didn't find either analysis terribly funny, though to their credit, for a Season 9 episode, these analyses were hilarious. I did find several jokes were pretty good. Wiz being so enamored with Toon Force was just kind of amusing. Wiz's screams of pain when he gets the shit beat out of him were good. And honestly, as predictable as it was, I did enjoy Wiz's desperation to try and find something cool for Aquaman. Which I guess is why I kind of wish they brought up Superman pushing the moon. Like, they could have just had that, and have Boomstick's the only one left doubting Aquaman has a chance. And like, You know, actually looking back, the analysis is actually funnier than I remember. Yeah, this analysis is pretty funny. I like the analysis. For comedy. No, but seriously, I think it would have been neat if Wiz had genuinely tried to back Aquaman up, and during the transition from analysis to fight, when they're like, oh, it's time for a death battle, they're like arguing, that would have been funny. And he could have comedically broken into tears when, oh, hold on, when I didn't get there yet. Anyway, fight time. The fight starts with Aquaman showing up in a portal and picking a fight because SpongeBob saved the day by destroying Bikini Bottom. Maybe I'm missing something, but this tells me there's a good reason nobody considers SpongeBob a hero. He's a fucking menace. Like Natsu Dragneel. That's a comparison. The opening series of punches that do nothing is pretty amusing, and I kind of enjoy just sterility in the background when they're beating each other up and go for some nad shots. Then... what? Anyway, Aquaman tries to mind control SpongeBob but gets fucked in the ass by a torpedo bubble, and gets SpongeBob bitten by some eels. And then he's electrocuted, so... well, I guess they're not really eels, they're knife fish. But SpongeBob pops into parts, and we get hyper-realistic Aquaman, which is quite amusing to me. Then SpongeBob Ocean Vor. Aquaman then sees... a multiverse of Aquaman? Huh? What the fuck is this? I don't remember any of this from Super Friends. Is this a SpongeBob thing? Do characters tend to just see portals into other universes on a daily basis? Aquaman says he's the lamest one, which again feels a bit awkward when he genuinely one-shots like Jason Momoa Aquaman with no difficulty, and blitzes him too. Hell, by this episode's logic of saying he's town level and billions of times the speed of light, he kicked the shit out of like this one and this one, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. It's just hard for me to accept the idea that Aquaman is seeing all these other versions of him that are billions of times slower and thousands of times weaker, and thinking he's the lamest one. He also calls himself a ripoff, which like, no, that's not how ripoffs work. You are an officially licensed version of a character. I mean, okay, I guess to be fair, Aquaman is a total ripoff of Namor. SpongeBob has some sort of speech, which I guess that's fine. I don't know, I feel like, again, I'm missing some context. Is SpongeBob being an underappreciated hero really a major part of his character? Because they only mentioned it briefly in the analysis. I assumed it was a minor thing. I assumed it was a very small part of him. I guess it's a much bigger part than I knew. Aquaman, meanwhile, is a total asshole. He steals someone else's trident, runs up and stabs SpongeBob while he's trying to encourage him. What a douche. That is not the douchiest thing Aquaman will do in this fight. Anyway, SpongeBob violently pisses on Aquaman's face, then violently shits out a pencil and picks a sword fight. Aquaman acknowledges SpongeBob as a hero, which, that's neat. Aquaman realizes his previous assumption about SpongeBob was wrong, which there's no real reason for him to, given all he got was a speech, but I'm not expecting complex character writing for a 3-minute fanfiction in animated form, okay? Aquaman no-diffs an army of doodlebobs and cuts SpongeBob's pencil in half to get rid of him. But SpongeBob uses the half he still has to erase Aquaman's arm. That's kinda cool, I like that interaction a lot. Why'd your arm come back? I like Aquaman's just general like, what? In response to his arm being erased though. It's so casual. Aquaman then tosses SpongeBob through the door, and it looks really awkward to me. And I didn't even know why until I looked closer and saw the trident and SpongeBob are vanishing arbitrarily at a random point past the edge of the door, where they should be getting cut off. And that just looks kind of off to me. We get a SpongeBob transition joke. Okay. And SpongeBob comes back. Aquaman has a little smile on his face, which is quite charming, and does a watery sea creature Kamehameha. And I'll want to point out, this moment has made Aquaman the 5th highest scale character in this season of Death Battle. Yeah, I'm not joking. Aquaman from Super Friends is higher scale than Thor and Vegeta. I know Vegeta's final flash is pretty impressive, but it just destroys some mountains. Aquaman here decimates the world by drawing the ocean into a single point and throwing all the water into space, and most of it is bound to get lost. Like, Aquaman is only beaten out by Silver destroying the moon, Adam and Apocalypse destroying the moon more, and what and Zatanna and Wanda destroying universes. Aquaman just made comic Thor look like a total bitch. This guy can't even destroy a mountain. This guy's ending most life on the planet. Also, Aquaman is an asshole. You are an asshole, man. Then SpongeBob punches him and we get the ending. I like this ending. Aquaman's tearful goodbye to SpongeBob, saying they should be super friends, SpongeBob's tears, and then SpongeBob just drawing up a little grave for him. Yes, with the name wrong, but for a man with the intelligence of an actual sea sponge, I'd say it's excusable. Really, it's the grave that does it for me anyway. I think it's charming and a heartwarming final shot to go on, given the context of a man ending most life on the planet to fight someone he doesn't even want to kill and being obliterated by a Bikini Atoll nuclear explosion. Overall, I feel like not having any sort of predisposed liking to SpongeBob has made me struggle to enjoy this episode as much as a lot of people have enjoyed it. I appreciate the character work. I feel the setup of windows to other universes is really clunky, but honestly, that's the only problem I have that I can't brush aside. Like, I'm aware this Aquaman is nowhere near the lamest one power-wise, but that's the joke of the character. I can accept it. Yeah, SpongeBob's speech is just okay, and I'm missing context as to why this would have any weight, but that's me not having context. And yes, it's kind of abrupt and doesn't have much reason for happening, but it's condensing an entire character arc into 3 minutes, and they've done it before, but doing something a few times doesn't mean it's suddenly not difficult to do, you know? So while it didn't hit me as hard as I think it hit a lot of people, I can respect it. Thumbs up, it's cool. Another thing I'm missing context for is the comedy. Aside from hyper-realistic Aquaman and like a few things, I didn't really find much of this fight terribly funny, which feels like it's something the fight was trying to do. Again, just as someone who isn't a SpongeBob fan, this does nothing for me. In fact, overall, I think again, just not having that out-of-episode liking for SpongeBob takes a lot away, because on the other hand, I'm a fan of Aquaman, who is treated like a total joke in this episode. And I get, yeah, that's the point, and this isn't the same Aquaman I love, but it does end up putting me in a situation of seeing one of my favorite comic book characters ever being turned into a joke against a character I have no interest or care for whatsoever who is treated like a god. That being said, I really don't want people trying to take the somehow moral high ground on my behalf or anything. Like, I'm worried that people are going to do that. It's not a big deal, okay? Wiz tried to acknowledge his heroism. He's treated with respect by SpongeBob in the fight. It's not a big deal. I don't need people making any more than a passing remark on this problem, if you even consider it a problem. I can see people getting angry at Death Battle because, oh, Nemesis Bloodbike liked Aquaman, so I'm gonna try to get his liking by supporting and attacking Death Battle. No, don't do that. I swear, for God's sake. I guess the major thing that took away my interest as well with this episode was it was pretty overhyped to me. Like, there were a lot of people saying that, this is gonna be the best episode of Death Battle. It's gonna be the best thing ever. I just didn't get into it. I don't give a fuck about SpongeBob. And to that extent, I actually wonder, does anyone else have the same feeling? Like, I know there are people who support my disinterest because they hate SpongeBob, which I don't care, but how many people are just neutral to him, the way I am? Like, do they get the same enjoyment as fans? Or, okay, probably not, but did they at least get more enjoyment than I did? Because I guess I'll say now, I did get enjoyment. I did very much find this a fun episode. Had a lot of good moments. The animation was pretty good, as expected. I picked up on some of those SpongeBob references, and I felt nothing, but I can appreciate them, you know? I like the awkward side-on sprite of Aquaman when he gets sucked into SpongeBob. Like, that feels exactly like just a shot from Super Friends. I appreciate the episode. I think it's good. It's a very solid, fun, entertaining episode. Tom Schalk did a fine job as SpongeBob, and I like Keston Howard as Aquaman. But overall, that's all. Like, everyone else is saying this is a 10 out of 10 episode, top 10 or top 5 of all time, best episode of the season. No, on its own, it's certainly fine, but I just don't feel anything. Then there's the conclusion. I like it. Wiz making a joke of the "this was a close match" thing is hilarious to me. I like that. That's my favorite part of the episode, probably. This is what I was saying with Tears earlier, because like Wiz could be arguing with Boomstick that Aquaman could still win, and Boomstick's like, it's not going to happen. The fight happens, and then Wiz starts up the conclusion with "this was a very super close match," and then he bursts into tears because it hits him just how out of his depth Aquaman was. Ocean pun. Anyway, the conclusion was funny because it's a huge stomp, and they didn't even bother hiding it. Still doesn't have the energy of the Flash vs. Quicksilver conclusion, but still good stomp energy. So yeah, the episode was fine. It was alright, I liked it. Solid episode, good episode, pretty good episode. I'm gonna settle on this being a pretty good episode. This was a pretty good episode. But that next time gets me so hyped, holy shit, you've got no idea. And I do mean hyped. Even in this dour-ass, horrible year of my life, my love for Friday the 13th, Halloween, Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, horror movies, slasher movies, this matchup, the episode going in, the prediction I'm gonna be doing, just what they're going to do with the analysis, the fight, it's enough to make me so hyped. I am hyped for the first time in this entire year. Hell, this might open the way for me to actually feeling hyped for Sauron vs. Lich King's announcement if I can keep up this good mood, which I probably won't, but I've got it for now and I'm riding on it. Oh yeah, and Wiz said, that's right, Boomstick, 10 out of 10 episode. It's almost on Yoshi vs. Riptors level. Well, that was that review. I kind of feel like might get some heat for this. I don't know. I have kind of a controversial opinion. I mean, I didn't even say it was bad, but like there are people who are going to be saying that I'm nitpicking and saying it's bad. No, it's a good episode. I just don't have that like attachment that I think a lot of people get mileage out of having. Is because, well, that was probably weird. A lot of people get more mileage out of this episode than I will because like they have that attachment. I can't pretend like I do. This is my opinion based on the fact that I have no real connection to Spongy Boy. Next time, fucking hype though. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the review regardless of that. The music I use is over 30 billion by Brandon Yates, so you can check that in the description. Along there, you can also find a link to my Patreon, and you can see my lovely patrons scrolling by right now. Thank you all for your support. If you subscribe to my page, is that the word? If you give me money, you get access to my private Discord for only patrons. Obviously, I don't think I need to explain that. There'll also be bloopers and potentially videos on Patreon too that you can get. Anyway, now onto the part that people probably are more looking forward to when I do this stupid end segment, and that's when I read out things that make me look like an absolute fucking moron. Before I get to that, while I'm opening up my phone to just take a look, I want to say I'm not trying to like change anyone's opinion with this. if you enjoy the episode, like, way more than I do, that's completely fine. I mean, you can wait for Biffweed, he'll probably have a far more positive review for you. And by positive, I mean, like, you know, from the perspective of someone who, like, loves SpongeBob, you know? Which is a perspective I don't have, you know? I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion. It's just a case where, like, this is what I feel, and I can't change that. So let's just get to it.
Not cool, Mr. Krabs. Squidward's feelings matter too.
I don't know what a victory scream. I don't watch SpongeBob. I don't know. Do you want me to do a like a ree? Like I'm fucking Dio Brando or something? I don't know what the victory screech is.
Okay, I hear you. Counterpoint, you're a terrorist.
Mr. Squidward, there will be no smoking weed in my restaurant.
I don't know if that impression's good or not. Quote the entire Ice Age script. You know what? Let me go get the Ice Age script. Let me just read out the first few lines. If I can find it, I'm gonna. I've not watched Ice Age in so long, I don't remember all the voices for everyone. Why not call it the Big Chill or the Nippy Era? I'm just saying, how do we know it's an Ice Age? Because of all the ice. Alright, because of all the ice. Well, things just got a little chillier. Help, see, the problem is, this script is so vague. I'm just gonna... Oh, help, come on kids, let's go, the traffic's moving. But, Dad, no buts, you can play Extinction later. Okay, come on guys. Oh, where's Eddie? He's on the verge of an evolutionary breakthrough. Really? I'm flying. Some breakthrough, look out. You're going the wrong way, crazy mammoth. Yeah, okay. That went... Yeah, fuck it. What's next? Come! Ah, shit, I did it wrong. I tried. It sounded cursed. You don't want to hear it. But, you know, you can just look at that song yourself. It's 15 years old at this point. So I think that was everything, at least that I got at the time of recording this. I'm actually doing this review a bit earlier than like a few days in advance because I'm genuinely worried about copyright. So, you know, yeah, we'll see. If anyone sends me something to say after the fact, I guess I'll I guess I'll see if I have time to add it in, depending on how copyright works out. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. As I said, they're links in the description. You can do stuff.
You see, sir...
You are such a terrific dumbass.